guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, I'm Bree and I'm a polymer clay artist, and today I'll be showing you how to create some easy food themed charms out of polymer clay. This tutorial is beginner friendly and I will be providing links in the description box to all the supplies I'm using throughout this video. If at any point in the video you need to skip ahead to a section or go back, I will be providing timestamps. Now I'm going to get into all the supplies I'm using for today's project. For my work surface, I'm using my marble cutting board, but if you don't have one, you can use an inexpensive self-healing mat, you can use parchment paper, or you can use a smooth surface that is clean. If at any point your clay or work area gets dirty, you can just take a dab of rubbing alcohol on a Q-tip or paper towel to clean it up a bit. For the details, I'm using a scribe tool, but if you don't have one, you can use a safety pin if you'd like. I will also be using a dotting tool, and if you don't have these ones, you can use the end of a bobby pin, but I would recommend getting these because they do come in handy. I'm also using a 6-inch blade for cutting, as well as an acrylic roller for flattening out the clay. If you don't have a rolling pin, you can find an object around that is cylinder with a smooth surface close to a rolling pin. Just make sure to clean it before rolling with it. I am also going to be using cutters today, but I will explain in each section of the video what cutter I'm using and what you can use instead if you don't have the ones I have. For texturing, I will be using a toothbrush, but you can use a dry spiky brush or rolled up ball of aluminum foil if you'd like. And now for the clay, I will be using Sculpey Primo polymer clay today because it's not very hard to condition, it is easy to sculpt if you're a beginner, and it is still pretty durable after baking it. So that's it for the supplies, and now I'm going to get into each charm tutorial. So for the s'mores charm, I'm using brown, beige, and white colored clay. I'm also using a 6-inch blade as well as a square cutter, but if you don't have a square cutter, you can just use the blade if you want instead. I will also be using the toothbrush for texturing the graham cracker, and then I'll be using the rolling pin to flatten out the clay. So start off by taking your beige clay and flattening it down until you get a nice, even, thin layer for the graham cracker. Next, take a square cutter or blade to cut out 2 squares for the crackers. Scrape underneath the surface of your cutout clay with the blade to remove the clay gently from your work surface. Again, if you don't have the cutter, just cut out the shape of the square with your blade. Next, take your scribe tool and start pressing it into the midway point of your square. Now poke small dots on each side of the line to mimic the small details on the graham cracker. Then just take your texturing tool and press it on top of it to give it more texture. For the chocolate, cut out another square approximately the same size as the graham cracker, then take your scribe tool again and indent a cross section into your clay. Now take your small ball of white clay and squish it down to form a thick dish shape. Now that we just sculpted each piece, we can start assembling it and put the graham cracker down, the chocolate bar, the marshmallow, and then the graham cracker again. If you want to turn this into a charm, take an eye pin and put it into your clay. I'm going to be using a screw-in eye pin, that way it's more secured into the clay, but you don't have to do this if you don't want to. I find the screw-in eye pins to be so much better and more secure when I'm putting them into the clay, rather than the ones that you just stick in, but this is up to you. I just prefer doing the screw-in eye pins. So once that's done, go ahead and bake your clay at 275 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 10 minutes. I would do at least 10 to 15 minutes and then it'll be done. For the donut charm, I'm going to be using beige, pink, and white polymer clay. I will also be using a circle cutter, but it's okay if you don't have one. I will also be using a larger dotting tool for this, but you can use the end of a paintbrush or something similar for this tool. I'm also briefly using my blade to cut out the small sprinkles at the end. So now for the tutorial, start off by taking your sphere beige of clay and pushing it down with your fingers to form a round dish shape. Then take the dotting around tool that you're using to poke a hole in the center of the clay. Flip it on the opposite side and poke another hole in the middle. Now that way you have a hole cut out in the middle of your donut. Continue poking the round tool on both sides to give it a cleaner, smoother edge. And now you have a nice, smooth looking donut. For the frosting, roll out the pink clay until the piece of clay becomes very thin and smooth. Now take a round cutter and cut a circle into the clay, and then use another small round cutter to cut out a hole in the middle. If you don't have these cutters, you can use the end of cups, or pins, or markers to cut circles out. Now take your cutout frosting and start adhering it to the donut. Here I'm just going back in with the round tool to smooth out the frosting more. For For the sprinkles, I'm rolling out really thin pieces of clay, and then I'm taking my blade and just chopping them up into really tiny pieces to put on the clay donut. Now I'm just taking my eye pin and I'm screwing it into the clay before baking it, and once we put it in the oven, it'll bake at 275 degrees for 12 minutes, and then it'll be ready and it'll be hardened. For the marshmallow twist, you can use whichever color clay you prefer, but I'm going to be using pink, white, blue, and green colored clay for this. So simply roll out each color of clay until it's about approximately the same size as a Q-tip stick or a little bit bigger than the size of a toothpick. Next, you're going to put all of your colors together with 2 on the bottom and then 2 on top of those, and then you're going to start twisting them until you get it around the size and design that you like and prefer. Cut out the piece that looks best to you and the closest that you want, and then if you want, you can insert an eye pin to make it a charm. Bake it at 275 degrees for 10 minutes and then it'll be done. Now that your charms are done baking in the oven, you are free to convert them into keychains, earrings, or leaving them as is if you want. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and let me know in the comments section what you would like to see me do next time. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!